Hi there, and welcome on the journey to transform culture. I'm Steve, and I'll be your guide. Well, folks, let's jump straight into a topic that I think we'll find fun to delve into today, and that's exceptionalism, right? If you hearken back to the early days of America, exceptionalism really was born from the whole notion of the city on a hill, the idea that formed as we established independence and then from this our constitution and our the laws and our founding ideals of liberty and so on, which is great, and that's actually helped to be kind of a anchor point, right? An anchor point for excuse me, for American culture to be able to thrive and to recover and when it's stammered here or there, being able to take a knee, figure it out, and push on, right? Successfully. But over time, the whole notion of exceptionalism can kind of be thwarted and upended, because if you look at it, and obviously we talk here mostly about organizational culture, our teams, and the culture at large. But when we look at the groups, right? And it doesn't matter if we're talking about a state, a city, an organization, it doesn't really matter. Whatever organized group that you're operating from, we can then take the idea of exceptionalism and say, okay, how is this good? How is this good, and how is this notion actually putting us on unstable ground? And you might think, well, why would exceptionalism put us on unstable ground? Well, there's a notion, I can't remember how it goes exactly, but if you have one foot in the past, one foot in the future, you're just pissing on the present, right? Because every right now in your life is a gift for an organization, for a team, for a human being in our life together as a group or as an individual. And if we're too much in the past, right, and we think, well, we're exceptional because of what we did yesterday or a week ago or a month ago or a year ago. So therefore, I can extrapolate from that I'm exceptional now, and that I will always be exceptional into the future. And this just isn't so, right? You may have been exceptional in the past, right, and had success, and now you have a history that says you can repeat exceptional behavior, right, in the present and in the future as you go. But what can happen, what can sneak in there is if you believe you're exceptional all the time, right? You wake up and you think, I'm great. Then what happens is your situational awareness drops and you kind of dilute yourself a little bit. And then now what happens is you could have an average day, a very, I won't say unproductive, but a mediocre effective day, right? Your day may not be that great. Your team may not have performed well. Things go sideways. And typically, if your energy and your focus is thwarted by the idea that you're distracted by your own, weighted belief of being exceptional, then you're not going to be focused. You're not going to be focused on your priorities and things that matter. Now, that being said, if exceptionalism is a driver for you, right, there's one thing to say, well, I'm exceptional, and just to take that label and then to kind of march blindly over a cliff. That's different than to have exception, the notion of being exceptional, right? That is, I want to achieve excellence. I want to strive. Excellence is in the striving, and that allows me to ascend in performance individually or as a team. Then that exceptionalism, you have it in the proper context as more of an action toward an end result, right? Or an ongoing result, okay? So customer service is a good example of this, where we want to be exceptional, right, for the customer. I am exceptional. I want to be exceptional. See where there's difference? Yeah, I have been exceptional. If you've been exceptional in history to perform certain things and to have success and breakthrough, and for your team to do the same. But you need to stay in the moving toward uh, the action of being exceptional, right? So that's kind of where the exceptional phases, I guess, halves reside. But what's difficult if you're an organization now and you think, well, we've got our icon, we've got our logo, we've got all that stuff, and that says we are exceptional. No, it does not. You're exceptional by what you're doing and what you're striving for. And it's real easy to fall into the trap of exceptionalism by believing that you're exceptional just because of this or that. I'm retired Air Force, right? We were exceptional because we were continuously forging forward to maintain and in the striving for excellence, right? And because of that, that was where the exceptionalism, the result of that being exceptional is in the striving. At no time did you look back and say, well, we were exceptional. And so therefore, we don't have to try as hard, right? And nobody says that. Nobody ever says that in the working world, but that's what you can see. And that's what you can see in a workforce. So if you have a leader that thinks that they're highly exceptional and they just kind of sit back, on their haunches, and while their team flounders and they're not supportive and they're not encouraging and they're not providing resources and they're not doing the due diligence that a leader should do to inspire, motivate, and encourage them, then what you have is you have mediocre performance. Now let's harken back to what I posted a few times in different videos and so forth is, look, we're 71% effective in the United States in organizations, all business. 71%, barely 71%. Okay, and this is after layoffs and tax breaks and all the gimmicks, right? All the gimmickry. I mean, the reality is it's probably more in the 60s. And if it's in the 60s across the nation, well, that tells you we're not much above 75 at the high end, and we're probably down in the 50s on the low end, right? So, how exceptional are you if you're not performing above 71%, right? You're not exceptional. You can say you're exceptional all day long, but when you take away the gimmicks and all the little, political influence and all the things, right? Take away all the things that skew the score, right? It's like two basketball teams playing, but the boosters are paying for points, right? They're doing they're doing a fundraiser, each team, and they raise money, and then the points are thrown on the board, right? Both teams, they don't know how they're actually performing now. Why is that? Because of all the gimmickry and all the diluting of the score. And this is what's going on now, and this is why the KPIs for America right now at 71% is so daunting, because it is significantly diluted, and it's not diluted high, or low. It's diluted high. So this is what I'm saying. This is a scary time, and so we have to realize that exceptionalism is a place where we need to go, and where we have been, but not where we are. We're currently not exceptional. We are absolutely not exceptional right now. And this is a thing. If you go around the country and you look at different businesses and manufacturers and so on, are we making the things that we need to live, right? Are we making food? Are we making, healthy food? Are we doing all the things we need to function as a society? Or are we making a bunch of junk, right? Are we making junk? I mean, don't get me wrong. We can all, we make things that we like to use that are handy, our earbuds and our this and that, whatever it is, and I'm sure those probably aren't made here in America, but we make things that we like. But do we make things we need, right? And the other part of this is if we're not exceptional now at 71% effectivity, then all that cost to get to 100 is being passed to consumers. And as that's getting passed to consumers, then we're just trouncing the economy. Why is this? Because now people can't afford to buy other goods and services, right? So the more effective and efficient we are about in our organizations of all types, right? From the government all the way through private industry, you name it, nothing is untouchable. The more efficient and effective we are, that gives consumers, right, the citizenry, the opportunity to what? Invest or buy more goods and services that they need or want, right? And in doing so, that does what? That raises the economy. That raises our ability to perform and to be what? To become exceptional. Do you see how those things have to play together to be exceptional? And this isn't something that's a mystery to you, but we need to bring it from back here in the back of our mind to the forefront of our mind and be thinking about it consciously when we're leading organizations, or if we're team members in organizations. We need to be super in the present about how are we being exceptional for the customer? How are we being exceptional treating each other as a customer in the organization when we need information, or so on and so on, all the different things we need in organizations, right? Resources and cooperating between departments and all these things. If we're treating each other like customers, the old TQM model, then what? The end user, the customer, the end user is going to benefit. And when we're efficient, we're effective, that means we're exceptional. We're exceptional, customer wins, we win. This is how we create win-win-win, right? Customer wins, team wins, and then the organization ownership wins, right? That's how you want win-win-win. It's not win-win. It's 3 wins, win-win-win. All right, folks. So today we talked about exceptionalism, right? The trap of exceptionalism. Don't fall into the trap of thinking you're exceptional, right? If I bring home a D on a report card as a kid or young person, that's not exceptional. It's just not exceptional. I don't care where you are in the solar system, okay? Not exceptional. All right, 71 is not exceptional. All right, folks. Hit like, share, and subscribe. Remember also to hit that good domino 3 to 5 times a day to uplift, motivate, inspire, and encourage folks. And when you do that, not only are we helping to transform culture for the better, but we're also transforming our own lives. And that's really an amazing thing. Okay, folks, again, hit like, share, and subscribe, and we'll talk to you later.